People of Reddit, what was your revenge on a bully? I showed this boy in my first grade class this cool rock I found. As I was convinced it was a moon rock. He asked to hold it to admire it, so I let him. And then he proceeded to launch it into the forest and laugh at me. So I did what I had to. I grabbed my chocolate pudding container and put it in the pocket of his sweater and smacked it so hard it exploded all over him. Even though I lost that cool rock and my afternoon snack, I kept my pride that day. It was like out of a movie. He was making fun of me and I taunted him back. He came at me and when he got close I put my hands up in a don't hit me position. But he slipped on a wet piece of wood and fell. That's not what the other kids saw. Everyone else saw him come at me and then my hands flew up at his face and he hit the ground. They thought I was a badass that decked him in the face. I didn't even get in trouble because the recess teachers saw how the whole thing actually played out and he got in trouble. We became recess buddies after that. Going to college and becoming successful. She bags my groceries every time I visit my hometown. I know it's wrong to take satisfaction from this, but I can't help it. Does she remember you? Do you ever remind her that she was mean to you? I grew up in a small town, so she definitely knows who I am. I have no doubt she knows how awful she was. She seems very humbled by life. I actually feel sorry for her. Last I heard she had several kids and an alcoholic husband. In a high school soccer game, this jerk I was guarding kept sneaking in dirty shots, kicks and elbows, when the ref wasn't looking. After that had gone on for a while, he turned his back to me so he could receive a pass. He kept banging his body into mine, right behind him, to clear out space. I timed it just right. And as he tried to hurl himself backward into me one more time, I sidestepped and gave him a little shove. And he stumbled out of control, arms flailing, and fell flat on his back. I wasn't a very physical player, so my teammates who saw that were surprised. The best part was when some of them just cracked up laughing. Gave 3 guys a half ounce of weed to beat him up and tell him to leave me alone. They did. He did. Everybody gangster till you give the boys a half ounce of weed. He destroyed my math project and pushed me down the stairs a bunch of times. I got his black belt taken away. My ex was emotionally manipulative. When we hung out he was always logged into Netflix with my brother's account because he refused to buy his own. After we broke up I saw that he was watching Breaking Bad. So we waited until he got to the last season and changed the password. You diabolical mastermind. Shanked him with my house key. As I stood up to walk off the bus he got up to stop me. I was anxious to get home so I was already holding my keys. Straight up stabbed him with it. Obviously keys aren't sharp so it didn't pierce any skin or anything, but I pushed it in pretty deep. Right below the belly button. All my weight went into it. I was 14ish at the time. He was pissed but I caught him off guard so I pushed him aside and walked on. That's all there was to it. He didn't come after me anymore. IDK if he felt in it that I was willing to legit gut him. IDK. Beats me. We had a debate for class, and I pretty much wiped the floor with him. Dude barely even practiced, plus I was the quiet kid so people expected me to be passive. Nothing is more satisfying than being the quiet kid who takes everyone completely by surprise. I say this as a fellow former quiet kid. I knocked him out with my lunchbox. I required context PLS. My friend and I always got bullied by the same 2 guys in our school, and one day we came out of the cafeteria, I think it's called that I'm not English 3, and they jumped us and tried to beat us. I still had my lunchbox in my hand so I hit him with it and knocked him out in one hit when I turned around. They never came near us again, lol. It wasn't actually revenge. But when I bumped into the HS bully 35 years later, in his fluorescent orange town crew vest, on his break from collecting Road Hill, it made me so happy. Not a bully really. But this older girl in high school loudly announced to the cafeteria that my thighs were so huge as I was wearing my cheerleading uniform. A few years later, I was going through my rebellious teens and dating this older shitty guy who ran in the same circle as her. First time I saw her I was shocked that she introduced herself to me. Then she cried about how her boyfriend just went to jail for dealing heroin and she didn't make enough money stripping to keep the apartment and that was all the revenge I needed. I think he was being mean to me while we were sharing a woodwork class table with a bunch of pretty girls. Somehow, he got me removed from that table. He was lying about me being a distraction. And I got laughed off that table. Before we left class that day, I methodically went to every table, offering to pick up everyone's sawdust, wood chips and sheet. After that class, I threw all my lunch in the garbage and scooped up all the sawdust I could into the empty containers. As soon as school was out, I waited for him to pass me on the way to the bus stop. And when he did I pulled out the back of his shirt collar and dumped all the sawdust down there. When he turned around I threw what was left in his face. It was hot out. The sawdust stuck to his stupid, sweaty face and ugly, sweaty back. Worth it. Though. All my friends and I, and hey, some pretty girls, too, laughed him straight into the bus. Not my best hour. But we didn't duck with each other again and I'm well adjusted now. I got to use a quote on her from Easy A that I never thought I'd get to. She used to interrupt when people were answering the teacher with "duck you, name." One day she did it to me. I said I don't have any nickels. Can you make change? She responded the 90s called and wants its joke back and I responded with 2090 called. You're dead and your life didn't matter. I was the quiet kid so this caused the class to erupt. Teacher brand new too so she could never handle this girl but even she lost it. Not me. But my mom. At the place where she worked this guy liked to pick on her. So one day he decided to take her car keys and drop them down his pants. My mom was slightly embarrassed but needed to get home. So when he proceeded to challenge her to get them, she did. While she was grabbing them she may or may not have grabbed some of his pubic hair and twisted and yanked. He didn't mess with her again. Not me but my sister. There was this girl on the bus who kept duck NG with her every day. No one would do anything about it. The other girl got off first and my sister followed. She put the fear of Satan into that girl. Beat the duck out of her. Didn't mess with my sister again. My little sister gut punched the girl who lived next door to us when she was making fun of her once. The hilarious part is, it was the girl who got in more trouble than my sister. Her mom actually said that my sister probably was only acting out because she was upset and it was her daughter's fault. I challenged him to fight in front of the other students and he didn't show. Does that count? Put her number on Craigslist attached to furry ad. Got on with my life and let karma do the rest. He flunked out of college and has no social media accounts. Seems to be either incarcerated or deceased. He didn't get to be my friend. So his eternal loss. Okay. It's my time to shine. My bully was the give me your lunch or I'll beat your ass kind of bully and I was a pussy as a chick couldn't stand up for myself. So I had this problem going for a few months until I came, literally, with an idea. Since he was taking my lunch every single day, I decided to make the lunch myself. So every day I woke up early to make a nice lovely sandwich for him. BTW. Here's the recipe. My sandwiches were made with bread, ham, cheese, lettuce, mayonnaise, and cum. Yes, cum. My salty and delicious teenager essence. Bread absorbs cum like a sponge so all you have to do is spread mayo over your cum and it will hide it like it never was there. I made him eat my cum for 3 duck NG years without him knowing it. Best years of my life lol. I never told this to anyone. Not even him. So Regis. If you're reading this. My stepdad. For 2 weeks I swished his toothbrush in my daily toilet before flushing. Then left a note telling him so before I ran away to my dad's house. Never had to return lol. Being more successful and living a more interesting life than all of them. I dated his sister. My friend. But at the end of the year he shoves his bully into a door and the teacher arrives as he is about to fight back. Friend didn't get into trouble. Not mine, but there is a bit of a fat kid that picked up his bully, flipped him upside down, then like pin dropped the bully on his head. Kid was a duck ng beast. We got married. And now you're going to divorce him. Take the house, the car and the kids. Half his money. And his pride. Hell of a plan. My parents found out about this kid bullying me in 9th grade and brought me to his house to tell his mom. Divorced. Dad not in picture. Long story short, we ended up becoming good friends. After we graduated he went off to college and I still came by because his family was so nice. Well, his mom had a few too many drinks and came on to me and we had 6 in his old room. Not really revenge per se. During high school, the bully and I were both part of a group of students responsible for all the end of school life activities, yearbooks, organizing our version of prom, etc. We were setting up the assembly hall for our graduation ceremony. There were about 20 senior students running around as well as a bunch of volunteers from the student leadership of lower grades. Rather than doing any of the work, the bully just kept barking at the younger students as if to direct them. It wasn't his job to, nor was it even required, as they were just setting out chairs in rows. One of the other seniors told him to get off his ass and actually start helping, in nicer terms, but it led to loud argument. Everyone stopped working and stared as the argument unfolded. I stepped in to curb the argument, but I was punched in the face for my efforts. I stood back up, smiled and said, now that you got that out of your system, how about giving us a hand with the setup? And smiled at the bully. The bully was confused, I think. Whatever the case, he left the hall without saying anything else. After he left, I sat down and let out a OMFG that bloody hurts. Like the weak little nerd I am. A fair few of the kids thought I was being comical and laughed. It broke the tension and everyone could get back to work. As I mentioned, not really revenge. Just a moral win over a bully, I suppose. He made me miserable all through middle school. He was racist towards me when we were the same race. Made fun of my weight while he was also fat. Now 25 years later, he has an account at the financial institution where I work. He asked for the hold on his check to be released because he's always overdrawn. I'm the president seer of the financial institution. I will allow it. Never been bullied personally, but I did see an own high school bully at a friend's party. He ended up as a cop. At the party he ended up microwaving eggs and throwing them all over the house, even cracking eggs and emptying it behind things so it would be hard to clean. He had been drinking pretty heavily and got into his car. At the same time the neighbors had called the cops to shut down the party. And as they arrive he starts screeching off. They ended up stopping him but never found out what happened. I hope he got some cosmic revenge, bad karma.